A pass left side, wide open, Sky Moore, touchdown! Kansas City on a pivot route.
That was the first career touchdown for rookie wide receiver Sky Moore. He certainly picked a good time for it, and hopefully there's more of that to come this upcoming season. But could the Chiefs add another receiver in the draft just a few months from now? For more on that topic, we're checking in today with Matt Miller from ESPN, one of the very best in the business, also a local guy. He's from Joplin, Missouri. Matt, what's going on, man?
What's up, Matt? Good to talk to you. And I am so excited for the draft to be in Kansas City. Everyone at ESPN's already asking me, hey, where do we get barbecue? Like, where are the places we got to hit while we're in town? So I think everybody in the NFL is very excited for what's happening in Kansas City right now.
Yeah, this worked out really well for you. Worlds are really colliding here just in a few months. Now, we're focusing just on wide receiver for this segment. And before we talk about names and specifics, I'm just curious for your evaluation of this wide receiver class as a whole.
Yeah, it is not the greatest wide receiver class that we've seen in the past decade. I don't want to set expectations too high. It is a good wide receiver class, not a great one. There is no, think about last year. We had Drake London in the top 10. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave were amazing rookies. There are not players that I would put up on that pedestal. There's not a Jamar Chase level prospect. I think there are good players, but it's worth remembering no one thought Justin Jefferson was going to become what he is. He was picked much later in the draft than a lot of people would have picked him if they could redo things. So it's not always about where you get picked. That's what you tell players, you tell scouts, you tell teams is the job of Brett Veach and his crew is to go find the players regardless of where they're picked. And they've done a great job of that, not just at receiver, but at every position. So I think that's what makes it fun when evaluating Kansas City is they find starters in every round of the draft. You have Isaiah Pacheco, Trey Smith is great examples of that. So you have to look at this wide receiver class top to bottom and not get too focused on the top 3 or 4 players.
And that's why maybe the Chiefs picking at 31 at the back end of the first round is maybe a blessing. At 31, maybe some guys can fall to you that people are sleeping on, and they can turn out to be pretty good players. And with that in mind, who are some names at wide receiver at pick number 31 that could make sense for the Chiefs?
Yeah, we'll try to keep it realistic. I like that you preface it at 31. I think, coming right off the NFL Scouting Combine, there were players who probably pushed themselves out of the Chiefs window. There might be players that also fell into that range. I think you have to start with Jordan Addison, the wide receiver from USC, who came in lighter than expected, under 180 pounds, and really did not have a great combine workout. I know NFL Network reported that he had a back injury that flared up during that workout, but it's something that teams are definitely going to have to go back and figure out. On tape, he does not look like the fastest player, but he's a quarterback's best friend. He's always open. He had a ton of success at the University of Pittsburgh, where he won the Biletnikoff Award as the best receiver in college football. He transferred to USC, played with Caleb Williams, had a great season in 2022. So I think Jordan Addison fits the mold of a route runner who has some shiftiness after the catch. If you want to go to what I would say the Chiefs have kind of been typecast at the wide receiver position, there's 2 names. Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, who ran in the 4.3s at the Combine, and then Zay Flowers from Boston College, who also had a fantastic Combine workout showing that deep speed, but also the quickness underneath that you can look back, whether it's Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman, Kadarius Toney, even Tyreek Hill when he was there. It's not just about deep speed, it's about quickness, and those 2 players definitely have a lot of that.
You made a good point about Addison, where his combine maybe wasn't the best, but he's done really great things on tape. I think sometimes that's the fallacy of this time of year, where we get so wrapped up in the combine workouts and what a guy runs in the 40 that we forget what he did on the football field. And that could be a benefit for the Chiefs at 31 if some people get too wrapped up in combine numbers, not what they did in school. Brett Veach is very good at that. We've seen that over the last several years. And he's also very good at identifying talent late in the draft. What a class for the Chiefs last year, getting a guy like Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round, Jalen Watson in the 7th round. And if you're looking at the later rounds in this upcoming draft, are there any wide receivers that stick out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, at this time of year, we're still figuring out. So much is focused on like the first round, just to be transparent early in the year, especially for my job, because that's what people want to hear about. So the later round guys, you start to really dive in and study this time of year. But I do think this is a good year for it. I would say, at Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt was the breakout player this year, but headed into the year, his teammate Cedric Tillman was the player we all thought would be the guy. And he looked like through the first few weeks he was. Then injury ended his season. He is a bigger wide receiver than we've seen the Chiefs trend toward. I think, even last year signing MVS and Juju, people were surprised. Oh my gosh, these are bigger receivers coming to this offense. It's been dominated by smaller players. So I think Cedric Tillman fits that mold. Parker Washington at Penn State, another bigger wide receiver. I am really fascinated by SMU's Rashee Rice, who's had a ton of production. Again, like you said, Matt, he didn't burn up the track in Indianapolis at the Combine, but he has that ability after the catch to make people miss. He has that ability pre-catch to get open with size, I think with a good understanding of leverage and space. But then he also just has the footwork to find himself open and to make things happen after the catch. So maybe not like round 7 guys, but if you're looking at early day 3, those are 3 names that I would be keeping a pretty close eye on.
Yeah, Brett Veach, like I mentioned, has been great at finding contributors later in the draft. It's a big reason why the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. And rarely do you have a situation where a team like the Chiefs is winning these championships and also has a bunch of draft picks. They're still very young, and they have a chance to keep this thing going for a very long time. If they can hit again in this upcoming draft, and maybe at wide receiver, if they choose to go that direction, could keep this going for several more years. Matt, awesome stuff, man. Really appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you.